Hey, it's Dave Brown here, host of Now with Dave Brown on AMI. Check out this latest highlight from the show. AMI TV launched a brand new series last week. Breaking Character explores disability representation through the eyes of 6 performers with disabilities trying to make it onto the screen, stage, comedy club, circuit, and runway. The show airs Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on AMI TV. You can also find episodes on demand, plus exclusive content on AMI.ca or the AMI TV app for Apple and Android. Comedian Dan Barra-Berger is one of the featured performers in the series, and Dan is here to talk about his experience being part of that series. Hey, good morning, Dan.
Good morning, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Nice to chat with you. Dan, I'm curious, why did you decide to be a part of this series?
Well, I had really nothing else going on at the moment, to be fair. They found me. I'm not even totally sure how. My website's SEO is awful, and so they put in the effort to find me, and they decided I was a good fit, and I'm really grateful that they did.
What was the experience like for you?
It was interesting. It actually made me do the thing that I'm something that I really don't like doing, which is like looking inward and actually thinking about myself and my actions. So it kind of forced me to look at what I'm doing, and I really enjoyed a lot of the experience. Well, I enjoyed the entire experience. It was stressful at times. It was just mostly a lot of fun. Everyone on the crew was excellent and really thoughtful in how they approach disability, and it was just I would do it again.
Dan, you mentioned that it can be very difficult to look inward, and I think that's something that a lot of people in the public-facing disability-related jobs, like mine, for example, where sometimes you're asked to look inward, and it's difficult. Being vulnerable like that is not always easy. Is it especially difficult when you're trying to blend talking about your art, your artistic expression, and combine it with that personal vulnerability?
That's a good question. I think so, because like for my comedy and for my storytelling, for example, I look in a little bit, and it's like I reach into the bag and I pull something out, and I turn that into a joke. But I don't stick my arm all the way down into the bag and dig around to see what I find. 'Cause might be something sharp down there, you know. And the doing this show really made me just stick my whole head right into the bag, like shoulders deep, and for better or for worse, I think it was for better.
Yeah, as an artist, oftentimes we can control what we want to share, right? But sometimes we're putting that trust in somebody else who starts scratching and digging and making us contemplate things that, as you say, there could be some sharp stuff there that we weren't anticipating. Hey, Dan, I want to talk about comedy a little bit more generally, because life in comedy can be generally difficult. I'm curious how disability may have added another layer to breaking through.
Well, so I came to comedy as a disabled person, so I feel like I didn't really have a context from beforehand, so I kind of only know how difficult it was for me to start. And luckily, I had an extremely good training program. I went to the Second City training center. Which is now since torn down. I wasn't that bad, but it's
we're not holding you personally responsible for that.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I just want that on record. I didn't bomb so hard that we leveled the building on Blue Jays Way. No, I feel like obviously I face other challenges. First, the simplest fact that a lot of comedy bars and clubs and venues are so friggin' dark, and they're downstairs. Usually, they're not by their nature accessible. I mean, Toronto by its nature is not very accessible. And then when you factor in that a lot of these are in dive bars or in restaurants that maybe have stairs and stuff, then it gets difficult. And then trying to navigate behind the green room, back in the green rooms and stuff, it can be tough. I am lucky though that I have full mobility and my white cane, and there are excuse me, a lot of artists with disabilities that can't get to where I can get. So, and a lot of them are a lot funnier than I am. So
There are some similarities to what you do for a living and what I do for a living, which is that oftentimes people cut their chops by grinding on the road, right? They'll go do little mini tours, they'll hop in the car, they'll go to small towns, they'll work their way up. And for someone who can't drive like myself, and I assume for you as well, that takes away that possibility to grind in some smaller spaces. Do you find it harder to workshop your stuff as a result of that?
I do, especially like pandemic notwithstanding, it was already it was already difficult here in Toronto. Luckily, the Toronto comedy scene I've found is very supportive for the most part, and the opportunities come where you make them, if that makes sense. You know, people come out of the woodwork and they say, hey man, that was a good set, I have an open mic night at whatever bar, you should come and check it out and try some stuff. And I'm lucky that I have some peers who are comedians with disabilities that I can bounce some stuff off here and there. And but as far as going on the road, yeah, that is a lot more difficult, because I know there's burgeoning comedy scenes out in like Guelph and the KW and Ottawa, and I say burgeoning, they're established, but you know, I'm not there, so what do they know? You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Dan, you mentioned the pandemic, and I don't mean to overly dwell upon it, but it did certainly cause some stop and start, right? Opening and closing, stopping and starting. How difficult is that from your perspective as an artist, when you're trying to either workshop on stuff or work on new material, when you can't get a consistent stage to get onto? I mean, listen, even Chris Rock and Aziz Ansari need to go into small clubs to work on their stuff when they're a little bit rusty. So I'm curious how that impacts someone like you.
Well, I mean, for a lot of people, it's funny. The pandemic's been a double-edged sword for me. Well, a lot of it pivoted to online Zoom comedy, and for me, that was terrible. I tried a few times and it does not work, because I rely on the feedback, the audio feedback from the crowd. And when it's maybe got a 5 or 10 second delay because of my bad internet or wherever, then I don't receive that feedback. And then sometimes, like, a lot of people, sighted people, can rely on seeing even like the people clapping in the little tiny box on their little 13-inch screen, and that maybe that works for them, but that doesn't work for me. But on the other hand, as I mentioned, for a lot of comedians with disabilities who maybe had mobility issues, they are killing it now because they've had this exposure that they wouldn't have had otherwise. There's so many comics now that are getting their names and faces out there that, weirdly, thankfully, because of the pandemic, they're getting to. So for myself, I had to kind of pivot how I look at it, and I started shifting away from more stand-up to doing longer form to storytelling, and I've tried to do some scripted stuff. You know, just to, you know, while away the hours, just write something that makes me laugh, and so hopefully it's going to make other people laugh down the line.
Yeah, an artist has to art, or else all those thoughts go nowhere. Hey, Dan, you mentioned the search engine optimization on your website isn't great, so here's an opportunity for you to plug some places where people can find you, whether your website, social media. How can people follow along with your comedy?
Thank you. Yeah. So it's my name is Dan Barra-Berger, but and you pretty much nailed it on the first go. I appreciate that. Not many people do. But to make it easier for Anglophone Canada, it's Dan Barra-Berger. I'm at Dan Barra-Berger on Twitter, on Instagram, and danbarraberger.com. I don't know if you do like show notes or something. If you'd be so kind to chuck it down in there, that'd be great. But it's DanBarraBerger, and then you can either throw an @ in front of it or a .com at the end of it, whatever you want. It's your choice.
Right on. So we'll put that up on the blog after the show as well, ami.ca/nowblog, ami.ca/nowblog. Dan, give me the proper pronunciation one more time, because I got the Berger right. I'm from Montreal, so I got that right. But give me the first one.
It's Barra.
Barra. Okay. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. Hey, Dan, thank you for this. Have a great day.
Likewise. Thank you very much, Dave.
That's comedian Dan Barra-Berger. a featured artist in AMI TV's new series, Breaking Character. You can find the show Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on AMI TV. You can also find episodes on demand at AMI.ca. There's also exclusive content up there, some in-depth interviews, one-on-one with some of the featured performers. So that's AMI.ca, as well as the AMI TV app for Apple and Android. And you can also find related podcasts to Breaking Character by searching for Breaking Character on your favorite podcasting platform. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI TV or download the podcast wherever you listen. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI TV or download the podcast wherever you listen.